everyone, I'm a Broken Robot. When it comes to the world of modern fast food, no company quite has an edge over the competition, quite like McDonald's. When the company went public in 1965, it saw a franchise boom no other company has been able to even come close to imitating. With over 38,000 locations in over 100 different countries, McDonald's has truly grown from a small-town passion project between two brothers to what can only be defined as a mega corporation. While throughout the decades McDonald's has undergone numerous changes, no company rebrand was as infamous as the 2016 rebrand that saw ball pits removed, video game consoles left over from the 80s scrapped, and store locations rebuilt to reflect a new audience and not the average consumer of years past. Before I can explain why the 2016 rebrand destroyed McDonald's reputation, let's briefly discuss how McDonald's store locations have changed over the years. McDonald's, one of the world's most iconic fast food chains, has seen significant evolution in its location interiors and franchise features since its inception in the 1940s. The first McDonald's restaurant, opened by Richard and Maurice McDonald in 1940 in San Bernardino, California, featured a streamlined kitchen called the Speedy Service System. This system emphasized fast service and efficiency. In the early years of the company before Ray Kroc began running the company, McDonald's locations were drive-up hamburger stands that, besides a few picnic tables and the actual food you ordered, had few amenities. In 1955, Ray Kroc opened the first franchise McDonald's restaurant in Des Plaines, Illinois. The now famous Golden Arches were introduced, and the company began to standardize its architecture, menu, and branding. Unlike the hamburger stands of the past, Ray put emphasis on the importance of brand recognition, so large seating areas inside and outside the locations, as well as the new standard Golden Arch branding, became a part of every franchise location after 1955. The 70s was a big decade for the McDonald's company, as their franchise locations from the past received interior overhauls, as well as newer locations being retrofitted with new gimmicks and features. The introduction of the drive-thru in 1975 marked a significant change in how customers could order food and the culture around the blooming fast food industry in the United States. During this time, the menu expanded to include items like the Big Mac and Egg McMuffin in order to appease the steady flow of customers that came at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And quick service drive-thrus became a standard at all locations built after 1975. While McDonald's can't take credit for being the inventor of the drive-thru service, they were the first major fast food brand to adopt the concept on a wider scale. To attract families with children, McDonald's introduced indoor playgrounds and play areas during the 1970s. These play areas became a hallmark of many McDonald's locations and were often themed off the various McDonald's characters like Grimace or Mayor McCheese. The 1980s saw franchise regions begin to adopt different location gimmicks outside of the corporate branch. Massive play places were constructed for independent franchise locations throughout the 1970s and up until the late 1990s. McDonald's began to modernize its restaurants in the late 20th century and early 21st century. In 2001, they introduced the McCafe concept, offering specialty coffee and baked goods, trying to drum up sales for the dwindling fast food breakfast market. This move aimed to compete with coffee house chains like Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts. The most famous McDonald's rebrand for Gen Z and millennials was the 1997 and 2001 corporate rebrand that saw such famous changes such as Nintendo 64 and GameCube kiosks being placed into locations alongside large and often elaborate play areas. However, in terms of advancements, McDonald's peaked with their store design in 2001, with all future rebrands either making franchise locations undesirable or flat out worse than before. Let me explain. The last major rebrand between 2001 and 2016 was the 2003 rebrand that mostly only affected international locations, and the 2007 rebrand that saw few changes besides a minor logo color change. The 2016 rebrand was supposed to be the big step up for McDonald's on both a financial and cultural perspective. In 2015, then CEO Steve Easterbrook had just taken over the company from disgraced CEO Don Thompson, who was infamous for seeing McDonald's lose a whopping 15% of the market between late 2011 to 2015, that saw investors pressure him to unceremonially step down. After a $4.7 billion decline, Steve Easterbrook had to do something radical to save his place in the company, and it ended up costing McDonald's what few ounces of small-town appeal they had managed to maintain during the growth. Things like Ronald McDonald, the iconic play place, and the carnival colors that had been a staple of the brand since the 60s, and Steve decided to metaphorically have his company jump the shark and not just rebrand, but remake their entire brand image. Between 2015 to 2018, over 1,000 North American franchise locations had radical redesigns with play places disassembled, buildings knocked over, and drive-thrus expanded. Steve scrapped the iconic carnival color scheme in favor of a modernist color scheme with newer locations being nicknamed as a kid growing up into a depressed adult. McDonald's had successfully modernized with locations including self-checkouts, TV streaming the news, and 24/7 access in order to appeal to all customers, being a staple of all locations after 2016. Outside of the franchise buildings, one of the most noticeable changes was the modernization of the McDonald's logo. The iconic golden arches were retained, but they were simplified and made more three-dimensional. The overall design became sleeker and more contemporary, and bit by bit the classic signs were slowly phased out across America. McDonald's also launched a new marketing campaign called Loving It, alongside the 2016 rebrand that still continues to this day. This ad campaign aimed to convey a more positive and emotional connection with customers. It emphasized themes of happiness, togetherness, and positivity in its advertisements to try to give off the illusion that McDonald's was still the happy small-town hamburger stand and not a mega corporation without a face that employs millions globally. While the changes to the menu and ads were mostly ignored by the general public, as more and more locations refurbished their layouts and switched to the new designs, more and more people began to realize just how much they disliked the rebrand. Nostalgia was the key culprit for the sudden shift of the customers turning their back on McDonald's. While things like ball pits and video game consoles had been slowly phased out by the time the 2010s rolled around, the new look of the rebranded franchises made it apparent just how much locations were lacking in features once expected from the company. In 2018, to combat this, some locations were actually given McDonald's branded tablets that could play some basic unlicensed games, but thanks to a combination of customer abuse and franchise owners not being required to replace or upgrade the tablets, by the time the COVID-19 pandemic permanently ended game consoles in locations, most customers forgot that they existed in the first place. Aside from the lack of a homely feeling, many older customers felt that modern McDonald's locations lacked the unique characters and charm that older, quirkier restaurants once had. Also, the standardized minimalist design of modern McDonald's locations came across as sterile and uninspiring to those who appreciate more distinctive and flashy aesthetics. While there has been a small resurgence of the McDonald's classic characters thanks to things like the Grimace birthday shake meme and Funko Pop branded McDonald's figures, besides Ronald McDonald appearing in a few children's ads, there has been very little sign of the company's own mascots being in the branding, only adding to the general feeling of McDonald's being a faceless company that only exists to extract money and nothing else. The modernization efforts also were unpopular among McDonald's employees. Digital menu boards and self-order kiosks were seen as an attempt to streamline operations and reduce human interaction and human employees. While the customer reception to the self-order kiosks was fine at first, by the time 2018 rolled around, customers despised the kiosks for their lack of human interaction and glitchy and inconvenient nature. Some individuals may miss the personal touch and interaction with staff that older McDonald's locations provided. Ultimately, personal taste in aesthetic varies widely. Some people simply may have different design preferences and may not resonate with the clean, modern, and minimalist look that McDonald's has adopted in recent years. But everyone can agree that the new features McDonald's added either didn't work out or hurt the human element once enjoyed in franchise locations. Franchise owners from 2015 through 2018 were stuck to fit the bill of the massive corporate rebrand, which led to some tension inside the company that bit by bit had to fizzle out. But here's the craziest part. Despite the 2016 rebrand being universally disliked by both the public and franchisees, it was a financial and marketing success on multiple levels. According to MarketingWeek.com, the 2016 rebrand was considered a universal success by the corporate sector. The store redesigns followed by the I'm Loving It ad campaign increased brand recognition to a height other companies could only dream of. And while there was a dip in lunchtime sales in 2017 and 2018, the way the stores were structured increased short-term sales and impulse sales that saw an increase in the previously declining dinner and breakfast markets. McDonald's as a company has grown to such a size with such financial and brand reach that, well, to put it bluntly, they don't really need to care if you approve of their location's color themes or the crappy design of their drive-thrus. McDonald's has made about $54.99 million daily over the past 5 years, and their international locations have proven that mass appeal will always trump small-town gimmicks despite the outcry of support for things like mascots and iconic brand themes. McDonald's international locations, besides having Ronald McDonald and the Golden Arches, have little to no store gimmicks or features to draw in more customers, and they have been doing as well or sometimes more successful than the average North American locations. McDonald's basically threw out the interpersonal branding with the ball pit, and while a loud minority of McDonald's regulars wish for the return, there's likely no chance in sight for any rebranding of classic designs for the foreseeable future. I personally hold the opinion that I believe the average American has. Yeah, It's kind of sad and depressing that McDonald's doesn't even pretend to try and maintain a brand persona, but it's even more depressing that McDonald's doesn't even pretend that they have to care about their customers anymore. Don't get me wrong, from time to time when the company finds itself in hot water, sure, they'll issue an apology or they'll write checks to try and make things better, but that doesn't mean that they actually care about their customers. Yeah, McDonald's will occasionally try seasonal items to spice up the menu, but they only do that to compete with other fast food chains, not because they want their customers to enjoy their time in the McDonald's locations. You know what shows a business cares about their customers? Comfy booths that are inviting, even though they might be a little bit harder to clean, is showing that you care about your customers, not hard plastic booths that were made to discourage loitering. Having a play place to entertain children while their parents hang out and chat shows that you care about your customers' quality of life, not faceless self-order kiosks that only exist to save money and cut out the human error from your store. A fun carnival persona gives what would normally be a generic hamburger chain character and a feeling of community, not a stale white and tile restaurant that would look like an insurance office if there weren't obnoxiously large golden arches posted out front. Now, to be fair, I haven't been inside a McDonald's location since the Great Pandemic, so maybe I don't know what I'm talking about and the culture and opinion around the 2016 rebrand has changed, but I'll die on the hill when I say McDonald's as a company no longer cares about if a handful of people dislike their style choices, when there are more people on the globe that recognize the McDonald's arches than that of the Holy Cross. McDonald's is the most successful fast food chain in human history, and in order to maintain their status, McDonald's corporate was always ready to cut corners when it came to customer reception, or everything other than the food. But what do you guys think? Do you agree with my opinion that modern McDonald's no longer feels the need to appeal to their customers on a personal level, or do I have no room to talk, seeing as I haven't been to a physical location in many years? Leave a comment down below. I'm interested to get your guys' opinion on this topic. And with that being said, if you've stuck around this long, take a moment to like and subscribe. If you like this video, it helps me out personally and helps the channel and the YouTube algorithm. If you subscribe, you won't miss my future video game reviews, video essays, and commentary videos on whatever topic of the week has piqued my interest. I hope you all have a great day. Don't eat McDonald's, that slop they serve is unhealthy as heck. And make sure to stay cool.